Hey guys, this is Blake from Blake's Sanctum, retro site for retro games. Subscribe.
Hey guys, today I'm bringing you a new video log about something very important to me. This and this. SEGA MegaZone magazine, or just MegaZone back in the day. The ultimate window into the heights of retro 90s gaming. Now in this video I'm going to talk about what this magazine is and why we're trying to preserve it. I'm going to talk about how you can preserve this even if you don't have the magazine. I'll offer some advice on how to scan the magazine if you have some. And finally, for those fans who just want to reminisce about this great old magazine, I figured I may as well get out my own massive MegaZone collection and show it off at the end of the video. So I'll have time skip links in the video description at the bottom of this video if you want to skip ahead to those bits. So why is SEGA MegaZone so important? Well, Australia has never had many of its own video game magazines, as we usually just import them from the US or the UK. However, back in the late 80s and early 90s, one of the magazines we did make was MegaZone, which started out as a general gaming and electronics magazine called Megacomp. Although, interestingly, the National Library of Records claims that the very first issue was actually called Megacom, with no P. So, I mean, I guess we'll have to try and get our hands on that first issue to be sure about this, but because no one else has ever said that to me. Everyone always says it started with Megacomp. But anyway, from issue 2 onwards it was Megacomp up until about issue 4, and then issue 5 onwards it became MegaZone, covering PC, Amiga, Atari, Nintendo, and lots of SEGA stuff. And SEGA took note of this magazine and bought it out, and then finally another publishing company bought the magazine for its final years and actually renamed it to SEGA MegaZone. Now, as a kid, I loved this magazine and was a subscriber for years and years, as our family didn't have much money, so if I couldn't have all the games I wanted, then I at least wanted the magazines that talked about the games I wanted. I'm making this video because there are several sites out there that are trying to preserve this great old magazine. However, at the time I'm making this video, many issues are still missing, possibly lost forever, and we want to try and fix that and preserve this great old amazing magazine forever in history. And not just the magazines, but also any related material such as posters, supplement books that came with the magazine, and even TV commercials for the magazine. SegaRetro.org and RetroCDN.net currently store a huge collection of scanned MegaZones online as PDFs, and RetroGamingOz.com have a great collection of MegaZone covers too. And I've been helping these sites to fill their gaps with scans from my own collection over the last few years. And now I've also been uploading everything I can find that's MegaZone related to archive.org, as they have become the ultimate preservation website for internet sites, books, magazines, videos, and many other things, even video games. They have a really good online magazine book reader built into their site as well, so they make preserving this content so easy and almost fun. In the video description below, I'm putting a link to a blog post with all the relevant information relating to this preservation project, and we'll keep an up-to-date list of all the issues that are still missing. So please check out this post, and if you think you have access to some leftover MegaZone magazines or MegaZone related materials in storage somewhere and can help us out, please let us know, either here in the comments to the video or on my blog post comments or by emailing me, or on the chat pages of one of those wiki sites I previously mentioned. Now, at the time I'm making this video, we have every single MegaZone magazine from issue 16 all the way to the final issue 56. And I've managed to bag what we believe may be issue 10 as well, which I'll show you guys later. Although we're not 100% sure about that because the earlier ones weren't numbered, but we believe it's 10. So it's really all the old ones around that we need help finding, those original Megacomp issues and the earliest MegaZone issues. Now, how can you help? Well, there's a few ways I can think of, guys. One, we know that the National Library in Canberra has nearly all of the issues we're missing. Nearly. So if you're anywhere near that place and you want to have a go at scanning their copies for us out of the kindness of your heart, then please let us know. Presumably they have their own big A3 size scanner or bigger, or maybe they'll let you borrow the mags out so you can use your own scanner. They actually have an online scanned copy service that I've looked into. However, sadly they charge $19 per 25 pages, which is crazy expensive and just not worth it, as we're missing about, 10 or so issues, and each of them are like, 80 pages or something, so I'm sure you guys can do the maths and imagine the kind of costs involved. It's just not worth it. However, alternatively to this, there may be copies in other libraries around the country. So feel free to check with some of your local ones to see if they have any early MegaZone and MegaComp magazines. That's certainly what I plan to do with some of my local ones here in South Australia. I've already looked at our main library and they didn't have anything, so it's not looking good so far. But I will keep trying. 2. If you have your own copy of an old SEGA MegaZone magazine or some extra materials that's missing from our collection, and you're willing to scan it for us, then I've got some cloud storage where I've set it to allow others to upload files to, and I can send you the address. And I've got access to good PDF editing software at my work to finalize the file for use. I just need someone to do the initial scanning. Now 3, if you're not willing to scan it, then you are more than welcome to send or sell them to me and I will take care of the rest. I'm happy to pay for the postage. However, just because I'm a collector doesn't mean I'm willing to pay a fortune for the magazines. Generally these days, because I've been selling and buying quite a few MegaZones over the last couple of years, generally you can get like an average condition copy with no poster will sell for about $6 or $7. If it's got a poster, it'll sell for around $8 or $9. If it doesn't have a poster but it's in really good condition, like almost mint condition, it'll sell for about $8 or $9. If it's like mint condition and it's got a poster, it'll sell for about $12 or $13. That's generally the way it's been going all this year. So, I'm not even going to entertain anyone trying to sell it to me for much more than that. As passionate as I am about this, there are limits. And finally, the 4th way you could help, if you can't do any of the above because you don't have any MegaZones, but you're a passionate, retro 90s gaming or Sega fan, then please put the word out to all your Australian retro gaming friends. Share this on Facebook, Twitter, Reddit, Discord, everywhere, as odds are somebody knows someone who loved that magazine and may still have some copies somewhere. Sadly, it's highly unlikely that anyone overseas would have this magazine because I don't think they had any international distribution, but many of international people seeing this might have a retro gaming Australian friend that they could talk to about this. Now, regarding scanning of the magazine, like most magazines, MegaZones are in A4, so they'll fit in any home scanner just fine. You're better off keeping the folded part of the magazine out of the scanner, so just scan every alternate page upside down to keep the folded part outside of it so you can push down harder and get a good scan. As those upside down pages can be easily rotated later in a PDF editing program on your PC. However, if possible, I'd recommend using a big A3 size scanner at work or at your local library or school, as that's what I did, as then you can just spread out the magazines across the scanner and scan 2 pages at the same time, saving like half the work. I know how to split A3 pages in PDFs to A4 pages, so that's not going to be an issue at all. I can take care of that. Of course, copy and printing stores can also do the scanning for you. However, they will likely charge way too much money, so it's straight back to that National Library scanning problem again. It's just too much money. We're just better off doing it ourselves. If you've got any supplement materials that we don't have, those tiny little booklets all seem to be roughly around A5 in size. So they can be done on any scanner by you or me, and then cropped in special PDF editing software later by me. The posters are usually the size of 2 A3 pages, so just copy half of the poster on a big scanner or all 4 folded sections on an A4 one to get them all. They're often 2-sided too, and of course we want both for preservation purposes. And finally, if by some fluke of the century you just happen to have in your possession a TV advert for MegaZone on some old VHS video cassette from the 90s somewhere, please let us know. I actually had one, and clearly someone else had one too, because we've now got 2 videos in our collection. You know, and with mine, I got my old video player out, I played it on my modern TV, and I used my DVR to record it off the TV onto a DVD. I then put the DVD into my PC, and I took the VOB file off the CD and then put it into various editing programs. Now, these days, some people have hard drive recorders that export to USB, either in their TVs or on external devices, and hell, even if you've got a really good TV screen and a good phone camera, you can probably just point it at the screen while playing the tape, for Christ's sake. And even that would be better than nothing. But either way, I know this is a lot of work to ask, so you're more than welcome to just send me the videotape or the very, very first raw digital rip file you have from that tape, and I can take care of the rest. Well, I think that's enough of the help stuff, so how about I give you guys a tour of my own physical MegaZone collection. So let's start with the oldest issue I have. Now, these old issues are actually not part of my original collection. These are recent additions to my collection that I have got through other people selling theirs online. And this is my most recent one, which is now pretty much the jewel of my collection because it is one of the oldest issues out there. I've not seen anything as old as this one online. And this MegaZone is from, let me see, November 1990. And in this particular period, they didn't even have issue numbers on it. But I've spoken with some of the experts or collectors online, and they reckon it's around issue 10. And this is so old. Its layout is it's quite different to the later magazines. It's amazing how I've never seen one from this period before. Not in obviously not physically, but definitely not online either. And these ones are getting into the era that most of us know. And I was very happy to get this one because, of course, it's one of the most sort of famous MegaZone covers because it was the big Sonic 2 issue, and obviously had a giant feature on it in the magazine, and lots of other great games as well. And and this is probably my favorite era of the magazine because it's the era where they covered Amiga and PC stuff, and there was even a bit of Nintendo as well, and Atari as well. I think SEGA Aussiesoft was actually in control of the magazine by this stage, and the reason they still covered multiple formats is because SEGA Aussiesoft was a distributor, a lot of computer software as well. And this was sort of in the early to mid-90s when we were in the real, that amazing period of all these incredible adventure games coming out on the PC and on Amiga. So these magazines had dedicated adventure zone sections where they'd cover all the latest point-and-click adventure games in between all the awesome console stuff. So that, this was the stuff I loved back then. It wasn't really until the mid to late 90s I became a diehard strategy gamer and sort of started to leave a lot of this stuff behind. But, sadly, I'd missed out on this issue. Like, my first magazine in the collection was this one, the Cool Spot one. This is when my subscription started, and these were literally the final issues of this great era. So I remember I was quite upset as a kid when they said in this issue here that it would be the last one of the multi-format, because I'd only just subscribed. I was only a few months into it. And that they were going to go Sega only. But nevertheless, thanks to online collecting, as you can see, I've managed to fill some of those gaps. But there's a lot of magazines missing here. A lot of magazines. Like there's, heaps, which you'll see online in the scanned collection. But thankfully, a lot of them are online. So I've been able to get PDF copies of them. And I hope to collect physical ones of them one day. And, after this, it became the Sega only. And this was the sign of things to come, as I believe by this stage Sega Aussiesoft had already sold the magazine to Mason Stewart Publishing, even though the full name change to SEGA MegaZone hadn't happened yet, and they were just saying 100% SEGA MegaZone. And obviously they started off with Jurassic Park, which is, despite being half impossible, is still one of my favourite old games on the system to play, because I loved the
beautiful graphics on there. This is talking about some of the Night Trap controversy. Of course, that was a big thing in the 90s, of course, that game on the Mega CD. All the controversy that caused. It got banned in different places. And Rocket Knight we've got here, and there's Sonic Chaos on the Master System, and Aladdin. This cover caused a bit of controversy, funny enough, because certain people felt that they were all looking at her assets. And of course they replied, you know, this is a Disney picture, you know, that's only in your head, you know. They tried to turn it back on them, which was kind of funny. And you know, as we get to this, we're sort of approaching the things start to get a little more violent and risque, but not too bad yet. I mean, this is pretty full on. And we get to this sort of last, I think these are some of the final ones here. And look at Virtual Racing, Dragon's Lair, Dracula, and here we go. These are the final. I believe these are the final ones of when they actually renamed the magazine to SEGA MegaZone, and this was the beginning of the magazine's most controversial period because they went really violent with the covers. In that it's pretty much guaranteed that every issue, pretty much from this point onwards, you're going to see blood and guts and insane violence going on. And it's almost like there was some kind of competition in the office where it was like, no matter what the game was, they were like, can you make this violent? And the artist was like, not a problem, you know? Because, I mean, look at this, you know, we've got Sonic and Knuckles like knocking out Robotnik's teeth. Or Eggman, depending on where in the world you are. And, you know, and actually, I as a kid, I actually drew over this one, you can tell, because Knuckles actually had like a sweatshirt on or whatever, like, you know, like, I think Bruce Willis, Die Hard kind of thing. And I didn't like that as a kid, so I drew over it with a red texture to make him look more like Knuckles. But, you know, we got Urban Strike here with, you know, bullets and explosions, and then, of course, Doom on the 32X had come along. We expect that to be violent, but this is where things get funny. Like, look at this. Micro Machines. You know, it's like basically a game about a cute little tiny cars racing around in a circle, and look at the cover they design. I mean, there's like a dude here flying out through a window with explosions behind him. I mean, he's as good as dead. And it's, they managed to make it violent. And then we've got Battletech and the rugby games. Of course, they managed to fill that with lots of blood and teeth flying out and things like that. And when, you know, the other thing with this era wasn't just violent, there was also a lot of, you know, a lot of big boobs and half-naked women and all kinds of stuff. And, you know, look at this. This is the funniest one probably of them all. I mean, Theme Park. Friggin' Theme Park. It's like one of the most, like, G-rated simple games out there. And they've designed a cover where, look, this blood come out of the guy's mouth. We got a dude flying out of the freaking thing, and there's like explosions and fire behind him. Yeah, Theme Park, man. And of course, you know, oh yes, time for big boobs again, and Superman being all beaten up there behind Wonder Woman, and Judge Dredd. And you've got, of course, look at that in the reflection, guys getting his brains blown out, shot right through the head. You know, I mean, you can just imagine the fact that the parents were, you know, complaining about their children reading those earlier magazines. You know, it's just, you can see them almost, you know, it's almost like they knew their magazine was going to fold soon, so they just started going more and more hardcore, leading to probably the worst of them all, I would say, which is this one, Demolition Man. That's Sylvester Stallone getting his brains blown out by Wesley Snipes. I mean, it's just, to have, you know, think about it, this is like 1995, to have, you know, someone's brains getting blown out through the front of their head on the front cover of a magazine. I mean, what parents were going to buy that for their kids? I mean, what would they think? It's just hilarious. I mean, I don't care about stuff like that, but I'm just thinking from a business perspective. I mean, they obviously by this stage just couldn't give a fuck. And, you know, and I think they probably knew by that stage they were done, because then there was like a 2-month gap. And I remember thinking as a kid, what's going on? Why hasn't my MegaZone arrived? And then along came this one, and I was so relieved. I was like, yes, MegaZone's still alive, they're back. And then, of course, as soon as and look, it's, you know, typically violent cover, of course, giant boobs and muscles and someone's head getting smashed off their thing. Who was that? That would be Jax in Mortal Kombat. He's got the metal arms. And then, of course, then I read this, which, of course, was their little speech that this was going to be the final ever MegaZone. But you can tell that they were just like, stuff you guys, because I love it how the last thing they say is, anyway, we're off to buy a PlayStation. It's just like, F you, Seeker. And, you know, and that was it. That was the end of the magazine. And summer 95, 96, and it was the, you know, the end of an era. And apparently I think a lot of these writers went on to do like music video magazines and entertainment magazines and stuff like that. And that was sort of, you know, I know there was some good PC gaming magazines in Australia back in the day that kept going for a bit. But, you know, this was, well, for me, this was the end of a huge sort of, you know, golden era. And after this, I started, funny enough, collecting PC gamers from the UK. I switched my subscription to that because they thankfully gave everyone a refund on their subscriptions. So I think I'd had a recently renewed subscription that got refunded. And, you know, the other cool stuff in my collection, of course, is all the extras. As you can see, I've got quite a bit here of posters and all sorts of things. I mean, I've even got my stickers, which is ridiculous. I've actually got my stickers from... because they used to give a lot of stickers away in the magazine. Some of these might be Sega Club stuff, because I was a member of that, the New Reality Sega Club thingo from Sega Aussie Soft, and they used to send stickers and stuff. But sometimes MegaZone would give away stickers too, which is, you know, pretty obvious because it says it MegaZone there. And I've got more on here, lots of Sonic stickers, and other ones here. I would say most of these are from MegaZone, but, you know, who knows? I mean, it's been, you know, 25 years or whatever. It's been a long time. And I've also got some of these rare little booklet thingos. There we go, that's better. I had to stop the video for a sec because I realised I hadn't put them all out. But as you can see, SEGA MegaZone was often accompanied by little booklets with cheats and bigger reviews or guides on how to get through various games. Of course, in their final issues, they had specials on the Saturn and the kind of games that you could get on that. And here's some of the cheats. Oh, no, it's actually, that's their top 50 games that they believe of all time. Of course, Doom's in there, because by this stage we had the 32X. And there's the one with the cheats for heaps of different games. Sadly, they're a bit damaged. Mortal Kombat now, God. It's a miracle that I have this. I think I actually had two because of a mix-up where they gave me two magazines, and I was lucky because, you know, I used to take these into school. People used to borrow this off me all the time at school because Mortal Kombat 2 was such a big thing at my school, and everyone wanted to exchange to borrow this so they could learn all the moves. And I remember one of them never came back, and then thankfully I got given an extra one somehow. And this is probably another pride of my collection despite its simplicity. This is a little mini SEGA MegaZone that was advertised and talked about in issue 48, but it did not come with issue 48. They basically advertised and said, if you want to be part of this competition and to get one of these, you've got to go buy Uncle Toby's muesli breakfast products. And so, you know, obviously I must have gone to my mum and gone, Mum, I got to have this, blah, blah, blah. And she must have gone and bought me some cereal, and I ended up with this. And I'd be surprised if anyone else in Australia still has this thing, because of course it didn't come with a MegaZone. You had to get it separately. So this is of course talking about the competition and winning a 32X. And it's got little mini reviews of Lion King and Sonic and Knuckles, and got some cheats on there as well, and a time zone thing as well, because I had some kind of deal with them. So I'm amazed that I still have that. I just found it in a bag with a bunch of other old stuff, and I was like, yes, what a find. So naturally I scanned, you know, it's hard. I think the guys online had these two, but they did not have this stuff, so I've scanned it and sent it to them. And then there's all the posters. This is ridiculous. I mean, there's so many posters here. Oh, of course, they usually had a cover on there. The cover of the mag on there on one side, and then they had something else on the other side. This was relating to a comic that they often did in the MegaZone magazine. I've got Dragon's Lair here. And on the back, of course, we've got that cover, one of their first controversial ones. And the Hulk, you can see here. And, you know, this is back before Marvel took over the world. And then there's a cover on the other side. And, of course, we've got that, once again, that controversial Sonic and Knuckles cover. And there we go, there's the sweatshirt I was talking about, the singlet or whatever you want to call it. That I coloured it on the front of the magazine. Looks like I didn't get to this one. And Chaos Engine on the back, with guy's getting shot, of course. Another one of their violent artworks, because as well as the violent covers, they often did really violent posters as well. And what's this day? This must be one of the older magazines when they were covering PC content, because that's Day of the Tentacle. Yep, it is. LucasArts game. Now look at that original Mortal Kombat poster. How wicked is that? That's awesome. And as you can tell which side the blue tack is on, because back then I didn't have Day of the Tentacle, as cool as that game is, but I sure as I'll had Mortal Kombat, and I love that. This is another old one. I think this, what are they called? The Planet Thingos? Global Gladiators, that's it. Yep, Global. This is another old magazine, you can tell. And was it SEGA and Sonic? Sydney Kings basketball team. It's our NBL, Australian Basketball League. Well, Superman, this is another old poster. You can just, I can tell because it's skinny, it's small. Superman and Flashback. Oh, look at that. Isn't that a great game? And, ooh, be careful, Manuel, don't tear it. There's another cover one. Oh, we've got a cool spot. Now, 96 pages. And one-sided. One of the rare occasions they were one-sided. We've got a calendar here. For 1995. Gee, I wonder if I can still use it. And on the back, I think we've got that violent, the violent Micro Machines cover. Challenge accepted. Look at that, nice Sonic 2. This will be from one of the older magazines. And looks like it actually had legit pages from the magazine on the back. Oops, I should probably put that back in there. My bad. Another old magazine. It might be one-sided, this one, you never know. Yep, it is. This is the, what was it, Chankin or whatever? Oh. Welcome to the next level, Chankin, the Forever Man. I just found 2 more posters while packing up that I forgot to mention. We've got an NBA Jam poster here, one-sided, and a virtual racing poster that if you turn it over, I've got another beautiful Mortal Kombat poster. What the hell are you doing? And then, what have we got up here? We've got that violent rugby one from the latter era. World Rugby 1995. And what have we got on the back? Rice Star. I never did play that game. If you loved it, let me know. I got 2 copies of that one. How did I end up with 2? I think I've sold the magazine, and stupid me was like, had to sell it at reduced cost because there was no poster with it. When I did have the bloody poster, idiot. Oh, this was one. I had this poster on my wall for years, possibly until even after I first got laid. That was how much I loved this poster. I was like, I don't care. I don't care about girls around here. I'm going to put this thing up. Did take it down eventually, of course, but X-Wing, the video game. And on the back, what do we got here? Oh, it's Rex Vector again, that comic they had in the magazine. Lemmings 2, I can tell straight away because I had that game on the Mega Drive. Those of you who've seen some of my earlier video log videos will have seen me playing it again after 20-something years and discovering it still worked. Urban Strike. And, oh, this poster's torn, so I need to be careful with that. Doom. I had this poster up for years as well. Great. Because, I mean, by this time I had a good PC and was starting to play Doom on the PC anyway. I never did have a 32X, sadly, so of course, but I still loved this poster because, of course, I was playing Doom on the PC. This is relating to a comic oh yeah, that's right. The comics got way more hardcore in the final SEGA MegaZone era. They used to follow this chick around. She was always, half naked or saving half naked people and blasting people's brains out and all the usual stuff. I'm not sure if this is even a SEGA MegaZone poster. I don't know. It might not be. It might have come as a SEGA Club thing or with a game. It might have even come with one of the Sonic games because there's no mention of MegaZone. So apologies, guys, if I'm putting a poster in here that's... Yeah, look at that. It's not a SEGA MegaZone poster. So sorry about that. But hey, it's a cool poster, darn it. It's a friggin' Sonic poster. A very old one. And last of all, what's this? Oh yes, this will be the Wonder Woman with the giant boobs. And no bloody Superman. He's on the back from the looks of things. Look at that. My goodness. Very horny young men were clearly doing this stuff. Barely past puberty. thinking about nothing but violence and sex. I think that's everything, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's everything.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you think you can help us preserve this magazine online, or maybe even help me with my physical collection, filling up those final gaps, then please let us know. Thanks. Bye.